Let's talk about something for a moment that I think is going to become increasingly important for the future of Microsoft's Surface Duo, and that is, I think, the stylus, the pen integration. So currently, we're in a much better place than we were at launch, because at launch, pretty much all you could do with a Surface Pen or a compatible pen was write. You could open up OneNote or a sketching app and you could draw on your screen, and that was really about all you could do. Well, now we have some additional features. If you have a Surface Slim Pen 2, or perhaps any pen that doesn't go to sleep after 2 seconds, something like this, I believe the brand was Ulogic. This is a pen that I reviewed just a little while back. You can now program the button on top of these pens to do different things. So like you could click it to open up OneNote, double click it to open up, I don't know, Keep or Photos or whatever you want to do, and then maybe a long press to take a screenshot, which you could then annotate and mark up and so forth and so on. So that's a much better place than we were to begin with, where again the pen could only write. But there needs to be more things coming, and there are rumors that Microsoft is going to bring interesting things like the ability to ink on your lock screen. That might be a cool thing to be able to do, something you can do on the Note devices. And when you think about where Duo actually came from, when it was the Andromeda project and it ran Andromeda OS as its operating system, inking was not just a small part of the operating system of what you're going to be doing. It was like the most integral part. It was the biggest thing you're going to be doing. Your launcher, your home screen, rather than being a launcher with icons and apps, it was a notepad. And you would run your apps on top of that, but your home screen was there entirely to be inked upon. And here we are with Duo now running Android, and again the features are getting better, but they're just nowhere near being where they need to be just yet. And I think that there's one big thing for me. I mean, all the software stuff can be implemented, right? You can have the inking on the lock screen, you can have a thing set up where, I don't know, maybe a little pop-up like with the S Pen. All these things are great, but there's one big thing that to me makes this sort of a non-starter. And I want to get your guys' opinion on if you agree with me or not. I think all of us can probably agree that the best mobile phone inking experience is that of Samsung's Galaxy Note, or now the S22 Ultra. And it is really twofold. One, their software is really, really good. When you pop that stylus out, a thing pops up and you can immediately start doing things, and it's very intelligent, it's very intuitive, and there's just a lot of it. There's a lot of good stuff you can do there with your pen. But number two is that your pen is always there with you. And now you can say to me, but Shane, you can have your pen always with you on your Surface Duo. You can use their handy dandy Slim Pen 2 cover that magnetically attaches the pen to the back of your device. Or you can do the thing I did, and you can buy a much cheaper pen and a little 3M pen loop and do that. Either way, your pen is going to be with you full time. And I agree that that is technically the case, but I don't think it fits with the spirit of what I'm talking about. And this is the part that I want to get your guys' opinions on. So there's two ways to go about the whole stylus thing. You can have a stylus that is best for ergonomics, and that is a stylus that is rather large, a stylus that you can get a hold of. Something that is more like a pen you grew up using, a pencil you grew up using, or you can make a pen that is really thin and really small and that can actually fit into the body of your device. Now, I do not have a Samsung device that uses a stylus in terms of a phone, but what I do have is a Chromebook Pro, which is, by the way, a really good Chromebook. It's actually quite old now, but it is still really good. And one of the cool things about it is right there, if you push that down, it clicks and it pops out, and guess what you have? You have an S Pen there with your Chromebook. And on Chrome OS, kind of similar to with Surface Duo, there's not really a ton you can do with it, but this is, for all intents and purposes, this is a pretty average looking S Pen. And look how small it is, look how thin it is. It is very small. And for me, writing with this, I'm already really bad at writing. This is going to make it more difficult than, say, using something like this, which is in the size realm of the Slim Pen 2 or the Surface Pen, whatever. This is the Ulogic pen. It's Surface Pen sized. So these are the two different directions you can go. The pen that is small enough to fit inside of a device, potentially. Now, with Surface Duo, we've got a big problem here because this pen is, I mean, it's nearly as thick as the Surface Duo is. So we got to talk about how that will potentially be able to work. It probably wouldn't be able to work, and that's probably why they just said, well, let's just use the pin that we already have. But if you're talking about something like the Surface Pro 7, this pin attaches to the side of it. It sits on the outside. This is how Microsoft has kind of committed themselves to doing pins. The pin lives on the outside, and the pin is big and ergonomic. Samsung says no, the pin lives on the inside, and they are smaller than this in some instances, if I'm not mistaken, and they're stowable, which makes them there all the time. And I think maybe, just maybe, Samsung's strategy is the right one. So here's what I want to throw out to you guys. If you could snap your fingers and say on Surface Duo 3, this is what they're going to do. They're going to make the thing maybe just a hair thicker, right? Maybe they're going to go from whatever this is, I think it's like 5.5 millimeters thick or something like that. Maybe they're going to go up to 6.2 millimeters or something like that. And then they're going to take a pin like this. They're going to make it as thin as they can to fit it in there. Maybe we're going to lose a little bit of battery to make room for this, but we're going to have a pin that will be stowable inside Duo 3. Would you snap your fingers and make that a reality, or are you content to using a pin loop, to using something like this where the pin lives on the outside of the device and you have a more ergonomic, larger pin? Are you happy with that setup? I will tell you that I was not happy with that setup. I had my pin in that pin loop for about a week, and I was more annoyed with it than anything, okay? In and out of the pocket. It wasn't coming out of the loop, but it just made it annoying. You had to kind of like pull your pocket open a little bit further to slide it in there, just because it's just big. Duo's already big, and now you're making it even bigger because you've got a pin on the outside of it. And that is absolutely going to be true no matter which way you go about this. Okay, you're adding size to an already sizable device. So I want to put this to you guys. Would you prefer to have an internally stowable pin, or one that is more ergonomic, that is maybe a little bit more difficult to carry around? I think that there are pros and cons to both of them, but I would love to know what you guys think about this. Please sound off in the comments down below. I think this is potentially a fun conversation, a fun back and forth. Duo 3 is probably still quite a ways off. Who knows what might happen? Who knows? Maybe this is something that they're thinking about, that they're talking about. Probably not, but we can talk about it for ourselves. So guys, thanks for watching. I will talk to you on the next one, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.